Field Yates, ESPN's draft analyst, asked what he thought the Browns should do with the second pick in the draft.
I would have the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward, and I would have the Cleveland Browns doing everything in their power to move down from pick 2. Probably to pick 6. That would be the Las Vegas Raiders, who, as we know, are going to be on the quarterback hunt this offseason as well. They have enough needs elsewhere that I think align really well with the board. If they were to move down a few spots, left tackle, I think, would be amongst the most obvious ones. Will Campbell, LSU left tackle, is right there for me at the very top of the left tackle board.
Over
Banks from Texas.
Over Banks?
I think that's I think that Banks is a bigger bodied, thicker lower half guy. Will Campbell is a freaky athlete. I mean, really terrific feet. It's hard to find guys who can move quite as effortlessly as Will Campbell does.
Tim, again, I get the, and this kind of plays to your point. If Tom Brady likes him, what can you get? What do you want to give me, Raiders? You want to give me 2 number 1s to move up to number 2? A number 1 and a 2 this year?
Yeah, and this will go back a little bit. I'm going to deviate a little bit to another YouTube short I dropped earlier today where I'm not necessarily 100% buying the idea that Deion would tell teams not to draft Shedeur because, I mean, if you're as confident as we all believe Deion Sanders is, you should believe your son can play and succeed anywhere if he believes he's the best quarterback in this draft. But that's a story for another day. If you're the Browns and you're not convinced Shedeur is going to be the guy for you, that you don't think he's that much better than Cam Ward, or you don't believe he's going to be the guy that kind of puts you past the Steelers and the Ravens contending for those other teams, contending in the AFC, then there's no reason to try and force it. And you can still create that bidding war. You have the Giants, the Raiders, the Jets. If you want to throw the Saints in there, you can have a massive bidding war. And if a team's willing to give you another one in 2026, possibly even a one in 2027, I mean, you could potentially get a king's ransom on top of what's already a pretty good stockpile of draft capital. That's one way to rebuild a roster. It's kind of what the Seahawks were able to do with the Russell Wilson trade. Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs this year, but they got a lot. They got a lot from Denver, and they really did a great job of maximizing that return and getting some quality starting players. At the end of the day, though, they don't really have the quarterback that can really take them over the top. So that's the ultimate catch. That's the ultimate thing you have to weigh is if you believe in the quarterback, even if if you're not 100% convinced, if you're maybe 80, 85% convinced, then I think you take the shot. But if you're like 50% convinced, if you have reservations, then you see if Vegas gets desperate and if they're willing to just give you a king's ransom and a half to jump over the Giants to go get Shedeur. It's interesting. It's going to be an interesting discussion, I think, for the next 3 months, how that plays out.
Yeah, and it all comes down to what is the risk? How sure are you that this guy can be a quarterback for you? If you're taking him number 2, he's got to be the quarterback for the next 10 years. Otherwise, you've booted the pick. And we've done enough of that the last few years with number 1 picks.